Listen to me. You are watching Billy D.
Hey everybody, thank you for clicking on this video. I am Billy D, and today we're going to talk about 10 of my favorite films that came out this year. I know, there's tons of videos that are just like this, but mine's different because my list is significantly different than most of everybody's that is out there. You want to know how I know? Because there's no way the movies I selected is going to be in people's top 10s. The main reason why is because of rewatchability and how much I enjoyed them. So if you want to see Oscar buzz movies, go talk to somebody else. These are just my 10 favorite. If I had to give one honorable mention on performance alone, it's Hugh Grant in The Heretic. Hugh Grant's monologue or dialogue in this movie is just superb. The way he talks about Monopoly games compared to religion, and he even names drops Jar Jar Binks.
Beg your pardon?
Jar Jar. Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar. Excuse me. Never mind.
It's absolutely hilarious. So just hearing Hugh Grant talk, watch that movie. On the flip side, if you want to see something scary, this is probably the best spider movie you will ever see. It's called Infested. It's a foreign movie. You probably missed it, but there's a hallway scene alone that you have to see. Type in Infested hallway scene, and I bet you're already sold. My wife is afraid of spiders, and there's so many spider jump scares, not to mention, by the end of it, you're connected to so many of the people in the cast. You're like, I want to see how they get out or how they end. It's fantastic.
10.
Dune Part 2 is a movie that I went in with kind of skeptical just because I was not a fan of Dune Part 1. I thought Dune Part 1 was so boring. I did not connect with any of the characters. I thought Timothée Chalamet was okay. Not to mention, everybody's hyping up Zendaya, but she didn't do anything in the first movie. The second movie is fantastic. It was very well acted. Timothée Chalamet brings it, not to mention the addition of Austin Butler. Wow, the music is fantastic, the cinematography is great, not to mention the story by the end of it. I'm having a great time. So, Dune Part 1, if you thought it was a slug to get through, go ahead and check out Dune Part 2. It makes up for it, and then, by the end of it, I bet you're having a great time.
9.
Number 9 is Furiosa. Furiosa is a sequel to a movie that I hold close to my heart. The cinematography is great, and I was kind of hesitant. They replaced Furiosa with Anna Taylor-Joy, and she did phenomenal. And not to mention the antagonist with Chris Hemsworth. He was hilarious. He was fun and eventful to watch when he was on screen. The story was better written than I anticipated. It was originally supposed to be an anime, but no, they came in, they brought it, and I loved the chapter divide. A lot of people say it like drug. I didn't feel that. I had fun.
8.
And at number 8 is a movie that's heavily divisive, and that's Gladiator 2. Gladiator 2 is a sequel to Gladiator 1. Oh my god, what a shock. But Gladiator 1 is a movie I don't care for much. It wasn't in my top 100, but I will say it's a great film. I watched this movie about 10 years ago, so it's been a hot minute since I've seen it. I know that some of the beats were kind of re-hit upon in Gladiator 2, but I love the casting. Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, Paul Mescal, they all killed it. They all killed it. I loved the story. Not to mention the gladiator battles were fantastic to watch. And the politics side about it was more interesting to watch in this than I would say the first one. But I have to go back and rewatch the first one. As far as movies of this year goes, this comes in at number 8.
7.
Transformers 1. This movie was a surprise, if you ask me. I was not expecting an animated Transformer movies to even make it in my top 10 list, let alone I was kind of bummed out that Chris Hemsworth was voicing Optimus Prime, but he nailed it. I thought the story was going to be more childish, more held back, but no, it was just as cutthroat. Not to mention the heart and soul of the dynamic of Megatron and Optimus Prime and how they were friends, then they became enemies, and how they met Bumblebee. It was beautiful. This whole movie was just a great prequel series. It didn't do well at the box office, but I really hope more comes out from this series.
6.
You know that whole spiel of movies that wouldn't be on top 10 lists? Well, Terrifier 3 is what I was really talking about. Lauren Lavera is a well-established final girl at this point. I would say probably the best final girl working at this point in time. She does great against Art the Clown. Art the Clown has some of the best unalives in this movie. Now, to mention, a lot of people were hesitant because they heard there was children being unalived in this movie. That's not the case. They kind of hide it. They kind of do it in a better way than what you would expect it. Especially, there's a movie on here later down the road that does it more brutally. This kind of had some class to it, and that's kind of weird to say with a Terrifier 3 movie. But Art the Clown, you're in at number 6. Way to go. Congratulations.
5.
Long legs. Nick Cage is a killer and he brings it. He's awesome. I know a lot of people were kind of let down that he wasn't much in the film, but I really like his role as the puppet maker for the devil. The 90s vibe was fantastic. Makia Monroe, stellar. This movie was like balls to the wall insane, especially when it got to the end.
4.
Coming in at number 4 is a movie that I watched multiple times in the movies. I didn't know if it was going to make it on my top 10 list. It's Deadpool and Wolverine. The main reason why is because the story is lackluster. What saved it is the soundtrack, the action, the comedy. I really like the multiversal aspect of all the characters we got to see, and the chemistry of Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. It saved it. The comedy aspect was really beautiful to see, and seeing those two work together for the first time in a long time is beautiful. Deadpool and Wolverine are characters that I kind of grew up with, and the fact that I got to see them both on screen, I kind of felt like I'd be robbing myself if it wasn't mentioned or even on this list.
3.
Number 3 is Alien Romulus. I had really high hopes going into it, and I'm not going to lie, I am not a Fred A. Alvarez fan. I did not like his Evil Dead portrayal, and Don't Breathe is one of the worst movies I would say I've ever seen. I know, you guys are going to dislike and comment right here saying, Don't Breathe. There's one scene in Don't Breathe that I really hated where they're checking the windows and he's like, it's all barred, but then the blind old man threw him out that window. I'm like, what the heck? I can break down Don't Breathe and nitpick the heck out of it, but I'm not going to here. Alien Romulus felt like a love note to the fans saying, we appreciate the first 4 films, and we're going to take some of the best things you know about it, put it in here, show you some of the best visuals you can see as an Alien fan, put it in here, tie it up in a nice pretty bow, and ship it out to you. And that's what I got. I love the cast in this. I love what they brought in this. I love the little nods and the connective tissue to the first movie. Chef's kiss.
2.
Coming in at number 2 is Abigail. Abigail is a funny, creative vampire flick with a great cast. This movie got me laughing from beginning to end, and Dan Stevens stole the show. Dan Stevens was in a lot of great films this year, King Kong vs. Godzilla and Cuckoo, and his acting alone really brought out the best in the movie. The girl that played Abigail, she was very, very believable. It's like outsmarting a bunch of dimwits when she was in that jail cell. It was hilarious. Abigail is one of those fun vampire flicks that comes in every once in a while and gets overlooked, like Fright Night or Lost Boys, but I really think everybody needs to sit down and give this movie a chance.
1.
Before we start talking about number 1, I have to give props to Abigail. Abigail made me go back and rewatch some of the best vampire movies ever made, and I even included Nosferatu, the original and the remake. The original one is a classic in its own sense, but I didn't enjoy it as other vampire movies, and then the remake that came out in the 80s felt like it was just glam on top of a story that they're like, okay, we'll just use. This is just Dracula without it being called Dracula, and it breaks my heart saying this because we have the best Jonathan Harker in this movie. We have the best Van Helsing in this movie. They're just renamed, and William Dafoe really brought it. He would have been the Van Helsing character, and he was just hilarious. He gave me a few belly laughs. Not to mention the cast. All of the cast was wonderful and perfect for it. I really love the unalives that you actually got to see of, and that sounds awful, but in horror, it's really taboo to see stuff like that, and the audience reaction, I saw this in an IMAX theater, was like, oh, ooh, it really twisted some stomachs. And I was not a huge fan of Count Orlok in this movie. Count Orlok looked weird, not to mention his voice was okay, if you ask me. But Bill Skarsgård is still unsettling. It's still scary. In fact, this is probably the scariest Nosferatu movie you will ever see. The design, the cinematography, the music, everything was done well and beautifully. And Lily Rose Depp, this is probably the best movie I've ever seen her in, and this is probably one of the best vampire movies you will ever see, not to mention it was the best movie I saw in 2024. But let me know, am I wrong? What movie am I missing? I know a lot of people are saying The Substance. I felt like that movie was very overhyped for me. Like, people were like, oh man, that's a movie for you. And I sat and watched it, and I'm like, okay, I don't really see it until the end. The ending was fantastic. The Substance is an honorable mention. Yeah, it's just not on my list, and I'm sorry. But there's probably other movies. Let me know down below. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you guys stick around because I have plenty of videos coming for you next time. If you can't hear it, my voice, I'm kind of sick. I wanted to post this video a while ago, but I'm just now getting around to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you soon.
Thank you for watching, you little bastard.